welcome to On the Shelf episode number 30 of
Brutal Battle. Yes, this one we have, as we like to do, a Maryland beer, and this is probably one of the most Maryland beers there is. Not necessarily because of the ingredients, but the backstory on how it was made. And then the other one is from our neighboring state, Pennsylvania. And both these breweries we've had on the podcast before. The first one I'm very, very interested in because this beer, the owner had said, I believe, on social media that this was the most expensive beer they've made.
Oh, really?
Yes. And there's kind of a reason behind that. So without further ado, let's talk about it. And bear with us, there's a little bit of a story to it, but it's a very cool story. So hopefully people enjoy it. So this is by True Respite out of Durwood, Maryland.
Durwood?
Yeah, that's what it says on their can. Durwood. Literally. Durwood, Maryland. Say? Derwood. Kind of Columbia, right?
I thought it was more Rockville.
Okay, Rockville. Somewhere in there. Got it. But anyway, we've been there before. We've really enjoyed the beers that they've had. And by the way, Brendan O'Leary, if you hear this, can you do another beer dinner? Like take-home beer dinner like you did with that Oktoberfest one? Because we did a whole episode for that, and I've been wanting to do that again because A, the beers were really good, B, the food was really good, and the pairings were awesome, and we would do another episode, so it'd be a free plug for you, Brennan. I'm just saying. So anyway, the beer that we're going to try from True Respite is called What MBDC Does. Now, they have a series of beers that they call What Maryland Does. So it's kind of got some sort of story tying into Maryland. Now, what MBDC does refers to the Maryland Beer Drinkers Club. That's a group on Facebook that's been around for a while now. Rebecca and I have been members of it for quite some time. It's a real cool space. It's very positive. Just people talking about what they've been drinking, where they're going brewery-wise. That's been a great resource for us personally whenever we need to know something about a brewery before we go. Like, do they have outside seating or this or that? It's usually more efficient for us to ask that Facebook group than actually contact the brewery because people are very quick to respond and very, very helpful.
People will be like, I'm going to Gettysburg. What are the best breweries around there? Or I'm going to this area. What's the best breweries to go to? And people will kind of give their opinion, and that's always interesting to find out.
Yeah, so it's a really cool group, and Brendan O'Leary has been involved in the group, posting things about what True Respite's been up to, and, just day to day, just kind of back and forth with people about beer in general. So I guess he decided that this would be a cool idea to do a collaboration beer with the Maryland Beer Drinkers Club. So he literally went through the process of posting polls on there for nailing down the specific beer to do in collaboration. So I think initially it was just kind of as simple as like ale style. Or lager.
Yeah.
Are we going to do an ale or a lager? And then after it was decided ale, then it was kind of like, okay, what type of ale? Are we going to do a hoppy ale? Are we doing like a stout? And then just kept going further and further, even getting as far as the hops that they wanted to include. So that's kind of how, like, a lot of people threw out things like, we want this, we want this, we want this. And so it got expensive. Like, I can see where it got expensive because people wanted a lot out of this. And Brendan really wanted to make this an awesome beer for the club. So, very awesome
Everybody
on him.
Has been posting in the club saying that they want to get their hands on this beer and they think it's great.
Yes.
So I'm excited to try it.
So we weren't initially super excited that the voting went the way it did, but we kind of expected it because it's a hazy, and we're not huge on hazies. Although I am a pretty big fan of the hazy IPA by True Respite Week Away. That's probably one of very few hazies I could have as a go-to beer. It's very good. So I was like, okay, well, it could be really good then.
And then they even did a day, when they nailed everything down, they did a day for people in the club to come brew. Yeah,
which was awesome. And then he also was giving people discounts if they were in the club.
Oh, really?
That day on, any beer purchases in-house. So, really, really cool. So anyway, so let's get into this beer. It's what MBDC does. They call it an expressive ale designed by Maryland beer lovers. It's 8.5%, and it's a hazy double IPA with NZ hops, Citra, Mosaic, and Nelson Sauvin. It's a lot of different hops in this one. 16-ounce can. Ooh. It is very full. This can is extremely full. There is no possible way that oxygen's getting into that, so that's awesome. Keeping it fresh. All right, for you.
Well, we know it's fresh because we knew when they made it.
Right. And for me. All right. Doesn't look like a hazy IPA. Or double.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty orange.
Yeah. Orange yellow.
Appearance. Can't see through it, obviously, because it's hazy. But it's not, like, too hazy. You know what I mean?
It's super... It's, like, just cloudy. A little cloudy.
Yeah, definitely. Smell?
Smells good.
Does smell good. I'm getting there's kind of a bit of a dankness in there.
There's some, like, piney, like, syrupy...
Little pine, little dankness.
It's not as, like, bright and citrusy as a lot of hazy IPAs.
I feel like I get a slight cat pee. Which you can definitely get. It's not a bad thing. It's something you get from hoppy beers from time to time. It doesn't mean there's a problem with it, people. Yeah, there's a slight cat pee. The nose is significantly less expressive than your typical hazies are. But that makes me hopeful that it will deliver more on the flavor in comparison. Because usually that's a big problem where hazies are promising so much on the nose, and then you taste it and you're like, this is like, at best, half the flavor that it is aroma.
Getting some, like, candied orange.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see that. There is definitely a sweetness to the nose. Mm-hmm. It's not too sweet, though. It smells kind of light for being a double.
A little pineapple.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
That smells good. It's not like...
It's like mango, too.
Overly powerful, but... Smells good.
Also get a slight chapstick note in there that Rebecca always hates.
Like that Vaseline.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's good. It's tasty.
It's a lot lighter.
It's very light. It does not taste like 8%.
Yeah, flavor-wise, it's not, like, insane on the flavor, but it is a nice kind of, like, medium-low flavor to it. The body is very, very... I don't want to say thin because that has a bad connotation.
You think so?
No. Well, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm saying for an 8.5% hoppy beer, I would assume that it'd have like a certain chewiness, a certain viscosity, which this does not, which is making it more sessionable. Mm. So I like that about it, but it also could be dangerous for that reason because it's 8.5% and it goes down pretty easy.
Yeah. I think the viscosity, I think there's a decent viscosity to it.
It's just not what I was expecting from an 8.5%. I thought it would be more chewy, a little more viscous, but yeah, it's still got good body to it.
I like it.
It is good. There's a bit more bitterness than I was expecting from it, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty well-rounded. Like, you get, like, the citrus, you get the sweetness, you get a little bitterness. I like the body. It kind of gives you a nice mouthfeel. Yeah.
It's got a little bit of that yeastiness that you do get from the hazies, but it's not crazy. And I am very sensitive to that flavor. I really typically don't like that flavor, but for me, this one's actually fine. Flavor-wise, definitely getting that kind of like candied orange that you were talking about. So there is that bit of sweetness, but again, like in the nose, it's not too sweet. Get a bit of that mango that I was talking about, getting a little bit of pine as well. It's good.
For me, it just kind of like coats my mouth and all those wonderful flavors just kind of meld together.
It's nice. This beer's way too easy to drink for an 8.5. Like, this is one that, like, if you would give it to someone and you don't tell them the ABV, they would just crush it and then be drunk and not have seen it coming. Yeah. Like, it's kind of dangerous. Really well done, though. I really do enjoy this. And this is a hazy I can and will drink. I'm down.
It's agreed.
This coming from a person who really does not like hazy IPAs typically at all. If you've been listening to the podcast long enough,
we keep buying them and drinking them.
Well, because that's what's on the market. Like, no lie, when you go to a liquor store,
I know it's really hard.
Yeah, when you go to the liquor store to get beer, it is literally, like, no joke, between fruited sours and hazy IPAs of whatever, single, double, triple. I mean, that makes up like 80%
yeah.
of the beers there. No lie. It's ridiculous.
It's been hard when we go and get beers for on the shelf because we like to have a little variety. But yeah, it's a lot. And speaking of fruited sours.
Right, exactly. The other 40% of what's in liquor stores.
Our next beer is by Evergreen Brewing, and they are out of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania.
Which they've been on the podcast before because we did an excursion episode when we went to Evergreen.
Did we do a showcase?
I don't think we did.
It was just an excursion.
Yeah, it was just an excursion because we hit Evergreen and we hit Mellow Mink. I think it was the first time we ever went to them.
Yeah. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
I'd go back. It is their sorbetto, which they have. It's like a series. This is number 45. It's a sour ale with mango, lychee, and marshmallows. And we looked it up because the ABV isn't on the can, and it's 6%.
So, feel me on this. Does this look suspiciously like a Secret Machine can from Dewey?
You think so?
I feel like the color usage, like the design, not necessarily, but I feel like the color usage and the way it's on the label, people could be confused with Secret Machine and just like grab this thinking it's a Dewey fruited sour.
I'd have to see them more side by side.
Yeah, to me, it looks kind of similar-ish. And,
well, I think all their sorbettos are different colors.
Yeah. But probably a similar design, I would guess.
Right.
But anyway, let's get in.
I don't think we've had... Have we had a sorbetto before?
No. This will be our first. This is also very full. I will say not as full as the True Respite. There's a little room for oxygen to get it, but not much at all. It's a very good fill in the can. It's just, True Respite a little more impressive. Oh, no. I'm already getting a feeling about this.
It's going to be too fruity.
I'm getting a feeling there's a bunch of puree sitting in the bottom.
Oh, you think?
Is what my guess is. Let's see. Because this is very cloudy. It looks like orange juice, basically. Yeah. Like, it is... There's probably a lot of puree in there. I have a feeling there's a lot of sludge in the bottom of this, just like all puree that's settled out. That's my guess. But we'll see. I mean, it still may taste really good. I don't know. No head. Yeah. Like, no friggin' head to it. When I swirl it, I see so much, like, small particulate just clinging to the side of the glass.
It's thick.
That lets me know lots of puree. Lots of puree.
Very thick.
This could go either way. That could be a good thing, could be a bad thing.
I mean, it smells like mango juice.
I smell the marshmallow, though.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. It's got that vanilla-y kind of sweetness.
And there's lactose in it.
I really do like that smell, honestly. Yeah, and there is a creaminess on the nose as well that I'm really liking. I like the nose.
Oh, it smells delicious.
Don't think I could pick up lychee.
No. I feel like that's kind of such a mild flavor, isn't it?
It's literally just mango, lychee, and marshmallow. Yeah, it's... Whenever I've had lychee before, like, it comes off as, like, kind of citrusy, but mainly just, like, syrupy sweet.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So, I don't get that.
Yeah, it's mainly just vanilla and mango.
Yeah, mango, and it just marshmallow. But it smells good.
Sweet, juicy.
Yeah, I like the smell of it. There is more of a sourness to it than I was expecting off the nose. Because it's not smelling that sour.
It tastes more beery than I thought it was going to, based on how we were like, oh, it's all like sludge and...
I like it. It's very puree.
It's going to be... Yeah, but it's not as bad as a lot of other beers we've had.
Right. It's very puree-driven. It's good, though. I'm wondering if it's going to be undrinkable by the time we get to the bottom, though, if a lot of that puree is settled out. We'll find out, but
I like
it tastes good.
You're right,
now.
Like that sour, like a little, makes your mouth pucker.
Yeah,
really balances out that sweetness that you get from all the fruit.
Well, and I'm going to point out the biggest issue to me, when you have all that puree that's settling down in a can. First of all, it becomes a problem because if you're not pouring the whole thing at once, then you're ending up just with all that sludge at the end, which you don't really... I mean, I don't want to drink that. It's just like a smoothie at that point. The other issue I found is that when it settles out, if you're just drinking what's on the top and then you get to what's on the bottom, what's on the top is significantly more sour, and what's on the bottom is significantly more sweet in comparison.
Does it say anything about, like, rolling the can or anything?
No. It just said must be kept cold. Yeah, that lets me know there's a lot of puree in it, because that means that there's still, like, a bunch of fermentables in there, and that it could explode if you don't keep it cold. So, I'm trying to, like, agitate it and see if I can get... Here, let me do it for you, too, and see if it's, like, looking thicker.
I don't think so.
Or if it's tasting different now.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks about the same. It's tasting less sour.
Sweeter.
Yep, it's sweeter. There's a bunch of puree on the bottom. Yep. Not a fan of that. I hate that. It causes a lot of problems with beers. I'm going to be honest. Trying it now with all that puree that was sitting on the bottom in it, I liked it better before.
Yeah, because you had more sourness that was actually balancing out the sweetness. Now it's just all sweet.
Yeah. There's a little bit of sourness in there, but this beer is better with more sourness to it. I still like it.
Yeah.
And I taste the marshmallow, which is coming off.
I see why people
vanilla.
like it.
Yeah. Very mango, though. Very mango. Yeah. Couldn't pick out the lychee. I don't even know what it does to it, but mango marshmallow. The marshmallow is slight, too. But, I mean, I like it, but I don't need all this freaking puree. Like, this is one of my biggest issues with fruited sours nowadays is I want you to fruit it, and then I want you to filter it. Give me a clear fruited sour so I don't have a bunch of crap sitting in the bottom of the can. Like, I hate that. I don't know if everyone's fine with it, but I don't want to feel like I'm drinking a thick smoothie when I'm drinking a beer.
Yeah.
And then also, like in this instance, it becomes like kind of too sweet because you have all that puree just sitting in there. Not a fan. And the separation thing, like I said, it just causes so many consistency issues.
Well, then especially if you're not telling people to roll or, like, agitate the can a little bit, it's just...
Well, like I said, it's still good.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm going to give the number one spot to what MBDC does, for sure.
Agreed.
That's a way more impressive beer for what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But good episode, tasty beers.
Yeah.
I'm down with it. I don't know. I just feel like we complain about some of these things and it's just never going to change.
Probably not. Because this is what sells.
But
people are going to make things that sell.
But there always is hope. Because, like, there are those certain breweries who will do these types of beers that I'm kind of tired of seeing all the time, but in a way that I really enjoy them. Like, you know, we were talking about Dewey and their secret machines. Like, I love the way Dewey does fruited sours, and there's not a bunch of puree just sitting in the bottom of the can. Or, like, you know, True Respite right here. Like, I don't really like hazies, but they do a nice job with hazies. I don't know what the difference is, but somehow they're able to actually make hazies taste good for someone like myself. So, I don't know. But anyway, again, I'm gonna ask Brendan, if you hear this, please do another to-go beer dinner. Please. We need this in our lives. We will drive down again, which is like an hour and a half drive for us each way, isn't it?
It's not quite that far, but
almost.
It's a hike.
We will do it. We will do it again. But anyway, thanks. Let's do the plugs. Rate us and review us on whatever podcatcher you use, please. iTunes helps us the most, and also tell people about the podcast because word of mouth really does work with people. Just trying to grow the listener base a little bit. You can email us if you just want to reach out and say hi, you have something to say, we'll read your email on the podcast, or you want some beer recommendations, or you have recommendations for us, brutalbattlepodcast@gmail.com. We are on Untapped, all one word, Carlton Malibu, spelled as it sounds. That's how you can find me best.
I'm Rebecca C.
And then Instagram.
Brutal Battle Podcast.
And if you want back episodes of the podcast, because we've been doing this for 10 years now, and there are a lot of back episodes, because we've been doing it every single week without exception. Haven't missed a single week for 10 years, which is, I think, is impressive. But if you really want to kind of laugh at how bad the podcast used to be, you can go back and listen to, like, the very early episodes. And you can do that by just going to brutalbattle.com or archive.org and searching Brutal Battle. because that's where all our files are hosted. But yeah, good beers. Thanks everyone for listening all the time, and until next time,
keep it brutal.